everyone. I recently finished The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead, and I must say this was another 5 out of 5 star book for me. I knew conceptually going in that it was clearly about the Underground Railroad, but I went in kind of blind to the knowledge that it was not simply historical fiction, that there was some weaving in of like fantastical elements here, in the sense of like it is not fantasy. That is the incorrect thing to say, because everything that happens here is completely plausible. It's also not sci-fi because it is not like beyond the extent of something that could have truly happened. It is just a reimagining of history and told in a different way. And so Whitehead uses this book to discuss the Underground Railroad as if it was truly a railroad underground. And I think this is a truly like ingenious way to kind of present the information of like pre-Civil War America and running away and everything in a sense that when you first hear the term Underground Railroad as a child, you may actually envision what Colson Whitehead did in this book. It is an underground network of tunnels and conductors and platform stations from state to state to help freedom seekers. And from this, we get this new sense of what it was like to run away and the difficult nature of it. Colson Whitehead does an amazing job, like I said, weaving in these realistic elements that are not true to kind of explain to you and demonstrate to you the horrors of slavery. So one major plot point of this book is that the people of North Carolina are trying to essentially like exterminate Black people because they do not think that at this point they have like the upper hand because there are so many slaves in the country. And so they are involuntarily sterilizing many women and men. And it's in hopes, I guess, for them of basically just helping the population of Black people in North Carolina to die out. That way they can end slavery, because some of them are abolitionists and they believe that like it's a horrid institution, but they can't just free the slaves because then they would come after them because of the horrors that have been perpetrated on them. So how do they stop this cycle? And their answer is to forcibly sterilize these people, these freedom seekers, in order to essentially stop them from having kids so that someday there's just no Black people in the United States. And as I said, this is a work of fiction. Like, this is not true. This is not something that happened. However, there are extremely real ties in this country to forced sterilization of minority groups. There are real conversations to be had about the way that slaves and other minority groups were used in the advancement of medical technology, which is also something that's happening in this book, particularly obstetrics and everything. And so it is a very interesting, and like the word that I cannot escape is like evil. It is a very evil but realistic story that is a work of fiction, but it is no stranger than like what truly happened, and no more terrible than what truly did happen. And what I think is amazing that Whitehead did in this book was he was able to tie fictional and like fantastical elements with the truth enough so that, as someone who is like a person who knows a lot about American history, I found myself questioning if it was the truth. And because of how realistic he was writing it and how likely something like that was to happen, it was hard to kind of untangle those. And so this book, I think, is an extremely important testament to demonstrating to you like the evils that could have happened and did not happen, but probably would have had institutions like the real life Underground Railroad, the real life abolitionists, the real life like freedom seekers not existed and done what they did in those circumstances to lead to the Civil War and eventually the freeing of slaves in the United States of America. And I just think books like this do not get their due, quite frankly. And I find it hard to believe that this book has existed for so many years now, and I haven't seen anyone on my own like feed talking about it. And it's just because I think it doesn't get the promotion that it deserves. And I think part of it might just be the name. I think sometimes people are like, oh, it's going to be nothing but historical fiction. I'm not feeling historical fiction, but like there are so many other things woven into this book that make it an absolute masterpiece beyond just talking about the realities. It is also talking about things that could have possibly happened, to demonstrate to you just the horrors of what was going on at the time. And I think it's just really, really well done by Whitehead, and I absolutely will be picking up many more of his books.